Hello, spring fever is in the air. It is the beginning of March. They're calling for it to be 50 degrees, low 50s today, and in the 60s tomorrow. A rarity up around here, the Chicagoland area. So, with the 15 window metalwork being done and moved over to dirty rides, it allowed me to dig Eugene, my single cab, out of hibernation and get her ready for this spring. Yep. This is a 1959 Volkswagen single cab. This was last winter's project. As you can see, she has the rust belt patina on her. Yeah, look at that. Beautiful rust. I love this vehicle. This is the Volkswagen I drive the most during the summer. It sits on our air ride kit, TWVW Designs air ride kit. But look at all this room I got. This is great. I can actually walk around in here. This bus I purchased out of California, but when it came here, it had a license plate light, or a license plate frame that said Eugene, Oregon, hence the name Eugene. Oh, this thing is so awesome. It's been buried away so long, I haven't seen her for months. It's like missing an old friend, and now it's back. Dug out, still dusty. But the issue with this was, well, I won't let you know that yet. I'll let you guess. I'll let you look back here. Now remember, it's a 1959. Those of you that know buses, single cabs, double cabs, what is wrong with this picture if it's a 1959? Well, alright, I'll give you a hint. That is what is wrong. Someone, way back when, before I owned it, put later model taillights in it. Basically, I think from 62 up, they started using these taillights. Before that, there were the small round ones. Early 59, they had the small ones mounted. They were called highlights on buses. They were mounted higher than the later 59s. This one is made in January 1959. That one there is another 59, but that was October. That's a highlight. This is not. So, game plan today being, I want to get this out, and the taillights never seem to function properly. So, what we're going to do is take the taillights out, fix the openings, and then mount in. Here's the metal. That's what the opening should look like. The earlier style taillights. That way. And now they're aftermarket taillights, but look at this thing. She is not original at all. Believe it or not, this rusty paint is actually a respray. It's not even rust over the original paint. But man, I can't get over how cool this thing is. I love these things. So what I'm going to do is I'll set you up on the tripod. I'm going to jack some air into it, just because it is so down here, and I'm fat and lazy and I don't want to crawl way down here. We're going to jack it up a little bit. Yeah, that's a 1600 dual port. It's enough, it's reliable, fires right up. So we're going to remove the battery. Well, first jack it up, then remove the battery, and then we're going to dig into those taillights. So I'll bring you back in a second. Alright, we're back. We had some minor issues with the power cable. We got that resolved. This loose connection. Welcome to the world of Volkswagens. So anyway, we got power now. We're going to proceed on. I'm going to lift it up a little bit, remove the battery, and then move on to the taillights. Taillight's pretty much held in, 2 screws. It goes through the body. See the 2 screws? It goes into the taillight and around the seal. Now this seal was a hassle to get in. Here's what we have. We have the tail light already partially disconnected. I have to cut that. Oh, this tail light was shot. You can see the plastic breaking off. Or the bake light, whatever that stuff is back there. That sucker's wedged down there. Well, it's no wonder why this taillight didn't work. I think the battery slid forward and came and crushed it. You see how that's bent? I think the battery came, crushed it, cracked it, and the 2 taillights are connected. So the taillights were always weird. I'd have to wiggle these and then the taillight would work, but I think I could pretty much see why. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna cut that off. I'll put a new end on, and then when need be, but I want to do the metal first. So let me get rid of this. Okay, then I'm cutting the ground. I'll save the light bulb, but this thing's pretty shot. Going in the garbage. That's too bad. It's an original VW one too. It's not an aftermarket. Oh well, sad times. It lived its life. Alright, so seal looks about brand new. I'll save that. try to keep stuff somewhat together, out of the way. Okay. Yeah, this repair was due. You can see how bent that is. I don't know if you can see that. If you can see how bent that is, something, well, I know what hit it. The battery slid forward, crushed the taillight, broke the plastic housing that holds these in. So apparently I'm going to have to make some sort of battery tray also. Alright. I'm going to remove the other side and then I'll bring you back. Well, I lied. I'll let you look at the opening. A little crusty around here. So what I think I'm going to do is I will cut this out to here, up here, into a square. Do the same on the patch panel, fit it in there, and then I'll butt weld that together. But I don't know if you can see that. This is a little dented in and out. I'll probably hammer and dolly that a little bit before I put the new piece in. I mean, look at this thing. It doesn't have to be absolutely pretty. Actually, I kind of want it to look ugly, so we'll go with that. I'll bring it back when the other taillight's out. Alright, got the other taillight off, but Houston, we may have a problem. When I took it off, on a good note, it looks like when they cut the hole for the new taillight, the old taillight hole still remains, which initially I thought would be good because I can measure off of that. Now I know the exact location of where the taillight should be. But upon inspecting the piece, when I set that up there, where that piece says it should be, it's about an inch over to the right. So this piece, it was labeled for a bus. I don't know if they're further over on a single cab, but if we look at this opening, I mean, we can see the guy's cut. It's all jagged. He probably used some sort of torch. But then this is smooth, and this notch is perfectly smooth. And for him to do that, cut this smooth, notch it over, there's no other hole, I'm going with it. I think this is the original taillight opening. So what I'm going to do is, rather than measure off a repop part, an aftermarket taillight section, I'm thinking that's the original location. Now, when I was looking at pictures of buses, this bumper is a bus bumper. It's not originally off a single cab, so I can't really gauge off of the overrider, because I think the single cab bumper goes out further. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this one just seemed to fit tight, but being that it's lowered, I can slam it down and it fit well enough for me. But the cut just looks too good. And also I would expect to see some sort of other opening over here for that. So I'm going with this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my aftermarket piece to cover this opening almost in its entirety. I think on this particular side I'm probably going to line it up to this edge here and cut this, the repop piece right in the middle. I don't know. I may or may not. I may come all the way down. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out as I go. But I'll cut the aftermarket piece. I'll set it up there. I will draw the outline of that piece that I have cut. And then what I will do is cut the single cabs metal to the size of the aftermarket piece, and then I'll be able to butt weld it together and fill in the cracks in order to get the tail light. But first I'm going to measure the locations just to write them down for future use of this particular situation, because boy, that's got to be the original location. Alright, so I'll set you up and here we go. Alright, now with the layout lines drawn, notice I can find center vertically and also horizontally. So we're going to go fire up the phase converter and cut this. Alright, there's our piece. Still have our centering lines. Good to go. Let's go back to the bus. Alright, back to business. I took that piece, lined up all of my lineup marks. You can see there, there. So now I know that's where that piece belongs. I also took, before I did that, and I set up my next piece so I know where to cut for that side, and also laid out this one. Now if you look, I used a caliper to get the exact measurements, so he was off a 1/4 inch, and he was also high. So we'll put the taillight where it was before, and right now I'm going to draw out this piece, get my outside lines, and then I'm going to cut that out. Now the issue over here is we have some oil canning. So this piece is not sitting on there flat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to use butt welding clamps to clamp the metal together to get me a flush joint. And as I weld it, I will first tack it, and then I will stitch weld it. And as I do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use air or water to try to shrink it as I weld it. I typically don't do that. I would shrink it beforehand, but I'm not looking for perfection on this. Actually, I'm looking for it to be a little bit rough, but I do want this piece to sit flat and not oil can. So there's our piece. I'll set you up and we'll rock and roll. May have to pull this bumper off. This overrider's in the way.
I wasn't expecting that to happen.
You know what? I'll cut it with the Dremel if you can set that up.
Cut it with the Dremel.
You want to make sure you compensate for the thickness of the blade and cut on the inside of the line. So this edge inside a line. Alright, got it clamped in. These are butt welding clamps. I bought them at Harbor Freight. Definitely, if you're going to butt weld, I would use these. $5.99 before the 20% off. So you're talking like $5. Well worth it. I don't know if I could see. That is perfectly flush. Around. Now, I used so many because it was oil canning, so I want this metal to line up with that, so when I weld it and then cool it, I'll try to shrink them together and tighten up that oil can as I do it in one shot. Not sure if it'll work, but life is about new experiences, so let's give it a shot. We're lined up maybe a 1/16 of an inch off, but come on now. So, alright, I'm going to get the welder fired up, tack it together, then stitch it the rest of the way. Alright, here's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna start right here. Tack, 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 tack. Do the 4 sides. And I'm going to try shrinking it as I go. Let's get it on.
right up, isn't it? Nice.
Getting it. So leave water on this side. The air will get first. Gotta love those tight fits. So far so good. I do think the shrinking, now I typically don't shrink with the water, I just use the air, but being that this was oil can so bad, no more oil can. Basically the metal was stretched one way or another, probably from the heat when he cut the hole, and now by heating it with the weld rather than a torch and then cooling it, it draws the metal back in together and then pulls it tight. You can see it's not oil canning anymore, so that worked, and it's looking pretty good. It's flush pretty much around. It may need a little tweak here and there, but shit, yeah, that's gonna work out good. I'm gonna continue on stitch welding it and finish it up. After that, time to grind. before. So now I'm gonna just try pounding that out a little bit from the inside. If not, I'm gonna live with it on this side. This baby ain't going to Amelia Island. So, see that gap there? Because of the dent. Maybe I'll go the opposite way and push this in. Either way, I want to finish up welding and I'll start grinding. Completely welded. Putting the light behind it to see if there's any pinholes, obvious pinholes at least. That looks pretty good. Oh, there's a pinhole. It's called a taillight opening. All right. On a good note, absolutely no oil canning. And then if we look at it sideways, it's flat again. Before I bowed out a little bit. Now I drew it in. And it's flat. Good deal. Alright, grind time.
The battery runs out, you're
What?
is ground down. I think I lost you part of the way through. Welcome back. Didn't mean to lose you. Don't know where I lost you, but what I did, I also took the little sander and I feathered this edge in. You can see, looks pretty good. Now, if we were making this a show bus or even presentable, we'd put a skim coat of Bondo on that or filler, sand it smooth, prime it, paint it, done. This one I sanded a little bit more than I typically would, only because I'm going to try to blend this in somewhat, add some rust to it, so it looks like it's meant to be. Alright, so that is the new tail light metal installed. I'm going to do the other side, and then I will bring you back to put the tail light in, wire it up, and see if it works. Wire it and fire it. Oh man, it is nice out, I'll tell you. Actually, I want to give you a faraway view also. There's the after. There's the before. Those small tail lights make the early models so much cooler.